Okay, guys. Sorry that this might go on for a bit. I'll try to edit it down. But this is last night I just went and saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2 on IMAX 3D, and normally I don't do vlogs, audio blogs, I guess. This isn't usually my thing, but I felt like I have to talk about this. This is gonna be a review slash rant, but not the kind of rant you might be expecting. Because normally, when somebody says this is gonna be a rant video, you think, oh no, he hated The Amazing Spider-Man 2, he's gonna go off on it. I'm gonna have to listen to his boring voice drone on for like 10 minutes about how awful this movie is. But let me preface, whatever. You could tell me if I'm wrong. I'm usually an idiot anyway. I don't hate this movie. I don't hate The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I understand where people are coming from with the negative reviews. I understand why the opinion is split down the middle, and I'll get to that. But this is not why this is a rant. This is me venting about something that has been bothering me ever since the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire all the way to now. I keep ignoring, going, no, it's fine. You know, the movies are still enjoyable, Spider-Man 3 aside, but it's fine, it's okay. However, I think this movie takes it to a whole nother level of what the hell, Sony. And it's not really the movie's fault. It's the marketing. This is what's been bugging me. The trailers give away everything. And I know this is pretty much my fault, right? I shouldn't be watching all these trailers. They made 3 theatrical trailers and 1 3.5-minute sizzle reel that they showed at, I don't know, CinemaCon, WonderCon, I don't know. But, like, when you put all of them together, I didn't even watch the TV spots because I was like, you know, what more can they give away, right? I'm pretty sure you can gather what the whole movie's about from those 4 pieces of marketing materials. And it irks me that they do this because it's just, does Sony have so little faith in the Amazing Spider-Man that they have to show almost every cool visual effects shot in the movie? I mean, there are some shots that they don't give away in the trailers. Yeah. I mean, and then there's some like shots that were like edited in the trailer, but they're more complete in the final theatrical cut. I mean, there's some really gorgeous visual effects shots in this movie, especially in the climax with the fight with Electro. It just bugs me when they do this. Another thing that bugs me all the time, this isn't just with Amazing Spider-Man, but it is more noticeable with these 2 movies in general, is when they show stuff in the trailer that's not in the movie. Now, like I said, movies do this a lot, but it bugs me whenever it happens. Sometimes I'm looking forward to that moment and it doesn't happen. Like the scene where Harry tells Peter that Oscorp has been spying on them, and he's like, well, isn't that the question of the day? I mean, that's cool. That's a cool moment, but that's not in the movie. Then the Green Goblin reveal has been truncated in the theatrical cut. Like in the trailer, there you see him descending downwards, like at the Oscorp building, and Felicia is looking out the window and sees him. And with that, like, oh my god, kind of look on her face. But that's not in the movie either. And I would love to see that in the movie. But it's not. Instead, stuff happens and all of a sudden, oh, there's Goblin. Surprise! I will say this. If you haven't seen any of the trailers, that's fantastic because everything in this film will be a surprise to you. If you have, almost nothing in this film will be a surprise to you. Maybe like the last 10 minutes of the movie will be a surprise to you. But if I'm going to go into heavy spoiler territory at this moment, in the 3rd theatrical trailer, the last shot of that trailer is the end of the movie. The last 10 seconds of the trailer is the end of the movie. Like, you just saw the final shot. But let's talk about the movie itself, huh? I'm almost astounded that it's nearly 2.5 hours long, and yet still feels very rushed. If you haven't seen the movie, and you do, you'll know what I mean. It's kind of like the Iron Man 2 of Spider-Man. It spends some time in its own plot, but also spends a lot of it setting up something else that's going to happen in a later movie. Like, you know how people thought Iron Man 2 was too much of a setup for the Avengers? This is kind of a setup for the third Amazing Spider-Man, along with the Sinister Six. Normally that wouldn't bug me, because I'm one of the 10 people on the planet that loved Iron Man 2. But that's because I knew there was going to be an Avengers. Iron Man 2 was going to make $300 million no matter what they put on the screen. So I didn't really care so much about all the universe building they were doing in that movie. With Spider-Man's, it feels riskier to me to do all this setup, because the first movie didn't make nearly as much as the Sam Raimi movies, any of them. And this one is taking a bigger risk by doing all this universe building. Like, what if this one does worse? What if this one doesn't make enough money to guarantee another sequel or 2 spin-offs? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, those movies haven't been officially greenlit yet. I think the studios are waiting for the box office receipts for this one before they go, okay, let's do that. They're just getting all the talent together just in case. But what if this movie doesn't do very well, and they think, oh, great, we're not going to do, or we'll probably do like another Amazing Spider-Man, but everything else we're not going to. We're not going to do that. We're just going to cram everything that we didn't get to use for their own movies and just put it in Amazing Spider-Man 3 and put 6 villains in this time instead of, I would say 3, but look at that poster. It looks like he's going to face them all at once, right? But no, actually, Rhino is like a bookend, and Electro is the main threat, and then he gets Green Goblin later. But you're not going to believe this, but Goblin actually has less screen time than Venom. Oh my god. But it's not as bad as Venom, because I really liked Dane DeHaan in this movie. He was great. I mean, there were times where he was just hamming it up, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hamming it up. Jamie Foxx, I thought I thought he was great in this movie. A lot of people say he was too cheesy. And I sort of agree with him, because he gets lines like, "It's my birthday, time to light the candles." It's like, oh my god, really? But I believed his turn to evil, because this guy, his character Max Dillon, is just mentally unstable. But when he sees Spider-Man for the first time, he would react like any one of us would. He's just like, "Oh my god, you're Spider-Man!" And we would talk in that voice, too. Just completely nerdy voice. But he's got a collage of Spider-Man, makes fake newspaper articles, Max and Spider-Man saved the city. It's really weird. So that when he becomes Electro and he sees Spider-Man again, he's like, "You remember me?" And Spider-Man's like, no. I mean, there's more to it, but yeah, I was just like, yeah, this guy, he's gonna go nuts. And he does. There's a lot of fun stuff in this movie. I mean, looking back, and I'm just like, yeah, there is a lot of fun stuff in this movie. And there's stuff that I heard people say was bad, but I enjoyed it. Like the dubstep rendition of Itsy Bitsy Spider. Jesus Christ. It was literally the closest thing the movie got to 90s comic book cheese. And I enjoyed that bit. But getting back to the pacing issues I had with the movie, I hope that there is an extended cut of this movie, that this movie was just truncated just because they didn't want to exceed 2.5 hours, and that there is a much longer cut of this movie out there, because I would pay to see that. I would pay to see a 2 hour and 40-minute version of this movie, because a lot of things are glossed over. BJ Novak as Alistair Smythe. He's only in there for one scene. It's a fun scene. It's fine. It sets up Max Dillon's character fine, but it's just there's oh, remember Alistair Smythe? He's gonna be a bad guy later. Check that out. Felicia Hardy is Harry Osborn's assistant. If you don't know, Felicia Hardy becomes Black Cat, kind of like the Catwoman of the Spider-Man universe. If I could make that comparison, she's just there, like, oh look, there's Felicia Hardy. She's at Oscorp, and she gets like maybe like 1-2 scenes. I think like two and a half scenes maximum. And the Peter and Gwen Stacy relationship is developed more in this one. I mean, they don't do the awkward talk as well as the first film did, but there are some really good moments between the two, and the chemistry is still like through the roof with those two. But I mean, the last act of this movie is really strong. I mean, despite like the missing stuff I mentioned with the Goblin, I mean, it's a really strong ending to the movie. And the second act is fairly good too. The first act is my opinion the sloppiest of the film. It was like I was like looking forward to this movie like more than most. And even during those first 30 minutes, I was just like, eh. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in that first act. Like, it opens strongly, and there's a fun Spider-Man sequence in there. But then when it starts to set up everybody else, like Max Dillon, Harry Osborn, all that, the editing gets a little bit dicey. Like it's like tonally off a lot of the time. It's only when Max becomes Electro, and then you get that scene in Times Square, and you got Hans Zimmer honestly rocking the crap out of dubstep. I mean, I loved Electro's theme in this movie. When you get to that moment, then it starts to fall into a certain groove where I'm like, all right, I'm digging this. This is fun. And it sort of keeps that kind of momentum going all the way to the big action climax. Honestly, there really isn't that much action that you might think in this movie. I mean, most of the second act is dedicated to mystery of what's going on with Peter and his parents kind of thing, and him and Gwen Stacy and all that. But when it happens, it feels like, okay, yeah, this is when the action should happen, definitely. But like I said, like overall, this movie is really, 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 really rushed, even for its running time. And there really should be more of almost everything in this movie, even though I really, really enjoyed it. But I understand where people are coming from, and I'm almost not going to fight anybody if they say it's bad, because I understand why they think it's bad. I mean, I'm just almost amazed. The movie's as long as Man of Steel, and I thought Man of Steel's running time was fine, and this one is just like, oh my god, is there a longer version of this movie somewhere? I'm like looking around the theater just going, so where's the 20 minutes you guys cut out of this movie or something like that? I guess I could touch upon the 3D. 3D is alright. It's post converted. It's not native 3D like the original movie was, but I understand why Mark Webb decided not to do that, because apparently he said that using the 3D rigs was too much of a hassle, so he decided to post convert. The CG shots look amazing in 3D, but it's everything else. It's kind of like, oh, I could just saw it in 2D and would have lost nothing out of it. Film looks great. It sounds great. Like I said, Hans Zimmer kills it with his score, and along with his collaboration with the other people. I think he called themselves the Fantastic, the Magnificent Six. Kind of like the Sinister Six. You're cute. If I were to rate this movie, I'm gonna see it again to see, like, maybe, because sometimes with me, a movie may seem rushed or choppy the first time I see it, but I like it enough to see it a second time, and sometimes when I see it the second viewing, it starts to gel a little bit more, but that's usually because I know what I'm expecting, and so it might play better. But as a first impression, it's certainly not the best comic book movie that came out this year. I don't even think that there was a worse comic book movie that came out this year. I mean, I think only Captain America came out. That was awesome. Personally, for me, not as bad as people are saying, but I understand why people are saying it's bad. But I'm gonna have to give it a rating of 8. 8 for me is like good. I mean, I know IGN or something says 8 means great, but 8 for me is like good, very good kind of thing. I think the first movie was a lot more focused, therefore it was a stronger entry. But this one, it's worth seeing to me. If you like the first one, more than likely you'll like the second, because it does away with all the origin story. Once that's out of the way, then you have a sequel. You have a sequel where it's not tied down to the origin. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, when all is said and done, it's not Spider-Man 3. It's not. Which is a good thing. That was a silly movie.